besties, welcome to my channel. My name is Charlotte if you are new here. If you're not new, welcome back. It's so fun to have you. If you are new, this is a bookish channel. We do a lot of bookish things and today is no different, of course. We are basically going to be reading some of my November TBR together. So I've already read a couple of books that were on my November TBR, but we still have, so I'm going to include one of the new releases I haven't read yet. So with that in mind, we still have 5 books. So 2 are on my Kindle. We have a new release and The Serpent of the Wings of Night. The new release is Lost and Lassoed by Lassoed. We have Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. We have All Roads Lead Here by Mariana Zapata. And then we have Those Who Are Loved by Victoria Hislop. So we're going to try and get through a few of these in the next week. I'm going to try and stick to, I think, some of the shorter ones and the ones that are more what I've been in the mood for, because anything that's fantasy has been really slumping me out. I've DNF'd a romance book recently because it wasn't a fantasy and I was like, oh, that is just quite literally slumping me out. So it'll be interesting to see, but I think I'm going to start this video with Lost and Lassoed because we love a little cowboy romance and I really enjoy this series, and I'm hoping that going into more of a series with the found family will really help with making sure that I basically do not get into a reading slump from a romance. I have literally just finished Crown of Midnight and I'm not gonna lie, there's a huge part of me that just wants to read Air of Fire, but I made the promise to myself that I wasn't gonna go back to back into Throne of Glass, so we're gonna have a little 3-book break. So I'm thinking the books that we're gonna do in this video are Lost and Lassoed, The Serpent and the Wings of Night, and then I think Northanger Abbey because it's so small, and I think that maybe I could then do this and then go into Serpent and Wings of Night, this, Air of Fire, and it'll be a nice way to break fantasy up because I have been doing back-to-back fantasy this month and I really enjoy it, but I do find myself getting the world slightly confused, especially there's some things that constantly happen in fantasy. I was about to say, but I can't give spoilers away, but there was there's been a couple, 2 books where the characters were having to draw symbols from blood. If you've read both of those books, I fear you know where this is going. And it just kept making me really confused. And they were literally I don't know, I don't want to give spoilers, I'm not gonna carry on because I fear it may get into spoiler territory. But yeah, I think I need a little small break from just doing fantasy. Right now I've been breaking Throne of Glass up with fantasies and I fear that may not be the best decision. So yeah, right now I'm not going to start reading straight away. I need to do a workout, I need to do some meal prep, I need to shower and wash my hair and get my work clothes ready, and then we're going to sit down and read Lost and Lassoed. And I'm so excited to read a book on my Kindle because I haven't read a book on my Kindle this month yet, and it's November 19th, which is crazy. Actually, that's such a lie. I did read a book on my Kindle, but I DNF'd it. If you're interested, it was The Wrong Mr. Right by Stephanie Archer. Just not in a romance mood. Which is why I'm hoping Lost and Lassoed will just be a little bit better because it's that bit shorter. Whereas the problem that I was having with The Wrong Mr. Right was it was just too long. The couple kind of were having some romance pretty early on, 30% mark. And I was like, I can't be bothered. I know they're getting together. So, but I really like the 2 characters that Lost and Lassoed are about, and I'm really excited to see their journey unfold. But anyway, I'm gonna do my workout, I'm gonna do my meal prep, I'm gonna have my shower, get my PJs so that we can get into this nice and quickly. Let's catch up. So I am 99 pages into Lost and Lassoed. So this is the 3rd book in the Rebel Blue Ranch series, and this is about Teddy and Gus. So Gus is the brother
of Emmy from the first book and Wes from the second book, and the best friend of, oh my gosh, what's his name? Emmy's partner, the MMC from book 1 basically, and he runs the ranch. Like, he is the main kind of runner of the ranch, because it's like his dad's not doing it anymore. Kind of very similar setup to like Cade and Harvey. So he is a single dad, and basically his kid, like his kid's mum, his baby mama, is like away for the summer. She's like, we've kind of been seeing her story through the other books. She's been trying to be a lawyer, and because of that she's like away for the summer basically. So he's full-time with his kid, but obviously like a kid and a ranch is like really hard, and Teddy has some issues with her work, so she ends up becoming like it's not a nanny, like it is more of a babysitter vibe. Like, she looks after Riley, Gus's little girl, like a couple times a week. So, but like the main thing is Teddy and Gus hate each other, and this is the thing we've been seeing through like the last 2 books. So there's been a lot of build up to this book, and it's kind of nice to see, like, to be in the characters' POVs talking about how they don't like each other, because they genuinely don't like each other. Like, I do not know how we're turning this into a romance. Like, there's been a couple hints so far, but like, so this is very slow burn. This is like a 300-page book, we're 100 pages in, and like there's not real romance yet. There's a little bit of like, oh, like he's handsome but he's an arsehole. Like, it's really funny. There's been some really funny bits. Both of these characters are really like strong characters, which is just really nice and really fun. And yeah, overall I'm just really enjoying it. I'm excited to see where we go and like how slow burn it stays, if you know what I mean. Like, I want to know, like, are we hitting the 50% mark and then it's gonna be bam, or are we gonna get beyond that? Because yeah, obviously I've only got like 50 pages till we get 50% of the way through. But yeah, so far I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying being back with these characters. Controversial, I almost think I prefer this series in atmosphere and in vibe to Chestnut Springs. That some of these books, like, they've not been like my absolute favourite books, but I definitely really like, I really like the atmosphere. I think if you're looking for like a true cowboy romance, then I would recommend this series. I think if you like small town romance, then you would much prefer Chestnut Springs, because after reading these, Chestnut Springs feels like just so much more of just a small town romance. Like, we barely get anything to do with like actual cowboys in that. But yeah, and also like, I just love the setting of these books. They always make me want to like go to Wyoming. Like, oh, I know my TikTok will get taken over by a Wyoming talk soon. It always happens whenever I pick up a book like this. But yeah, so far so good, enjoying it. It is really funny, like I was absolutely cracking up. There was some dialogue like when the 2 characters had a scene together, and like they just Teddy rinses Gus, like it's so funny. But yeah, I'm gonna get back to reading. It is quite late, I need to put my heatless curls in and just kind of get like settled to bed, so I probably won't do any more like updates or anything until tomorrow. Let's catch up, because last time I spoke to you I was just, I think, halfway through Lost and Lassoed, and that was on Tuesday. It's now Friday. I finished Lost and Lassoed on Thursday, so yesterday before work. I loved this book so much. I really liked being back with these characters for one, like that was really enjoyable. I liked being back like in the world. Obviously it's not like a world, like it is still our world, but you guys know what I mean. Like, I liked being back on Rebel Blue Ranch, in Wyoming, Meadowlark. Like, I liked being back there. I haven't read a cowboy romance for a while, and I love those books. If anyone has any recommendations for anything like really like those books, please send them my way, because hot take, I think I prefer them to Chestnut Springs, honestly.
yeah, I really enjoyed Lost and Lassoed. I will go through full ratings and everything as always at the end, but yeah, definitely favourite book in the series. I really liked how the author, how Lila did Teddy and Gus's romance. I think it was really perfect, because there were definitely times, like before I read the book more so, when I was like, how are we doing this? How are we making these two characters have a romance? And I think the angle that that was done was really clever, and I really enjoyed it. So last night I did start The Serpent and the Wings of Night on my Kindle. So we had a power cut last night and I didn't want to sit in my room alone in the dark, so I went downstairs. I did take my Kindle with me, but I just ended up chatting with my parents, so I didn't end up reading too much, because by the time the power came on I was so tired. I don't know what it was, because it was early. I went to bed at like 9:30 and went to sleep at 9:30 last night. I was absolutely out of it. And then this morning I went to the gym, so I haven't read any of this today. I actually listened to an entire audiobook today, which isn't going to be in this video. I had like a really admin heavy day at work, and something I've been trying to do on my more admin heavy days is I would listen to an audiobook, because it keeps me like a lot more locked in, because I can't scroll TikTok whilst listening to an audiobook, so I will always listen to like a thriller. Or last week, was it last week? That feels like so much more than a week ago. I listened to Jeanette McCurdy's book. I like to just, and a couple of weeks ago I listened to And Then She Was Gone, or Then She Was Gone, it's called. So yeah, I like listening to things that just keep me like locked in whilst doing like a lot of admin work. I find it helps with my productivity, which my work obviously love. So yeah, I listened to that today, but I haven't picked up The Serpent and the Wings of Night. My dinner is currently in the oven, so I think what I'm going to do is take my Kindle downstairs, and with my headphones as well, and whilst that cooks, 'cause it cooks for like 40 minutes, it's a long cooking dinner tonight, and I think I'm going to read for a little bit. So I had actually started The Serpent and the Wings of Night before, and I got 100 pages in. When I started reading it again, I was surprised by how much I actually didn't remember. So I started reading this in summer, and I wasn't so much slumpy, but I hadn't read a fantasy for a long time. I'd read Powerless, but I feel like that was very different. Like, I already knew the world. I did a reread and then I read Reckless, whereas this is like completely new world, like, to me. So I just don't remember too much of it. Like, I remember bits and pieces, but I also remember, I think I was reading it for like a really long time, because it was in one of the months where, like, I think it's in July that I read this, and I read like 5 books in July, and I think there was some that I just read in like really quickly, and this was like I was reading it over a long period of time, and I remember keep picking it up, putting it down, not being able to stay focused. Whereas now I feel like I'm more so in my reading era, and I'm hoping I will be able to stay focused. And I think I'm just going to take it off. Like, if I really can't stay focused on this book, I've given it, this will be my second attempt. If I really can't stay focused, then this book isn't for me. So that is kind of what I'm going to test this evening. But yeah, so far 1 book down from my November TBR, and hopefully I'd like to finish this on Sunday, ideally. That gives me this evening, tomorrow morning, tomorrow evening, and Sunday to give this a go. This lighting isn't the best, but I'm comfortable, so we're just gonna work with it. This is just a quick catch up. So it is Saturday now. I have officially reached halfway through. It's Saturday evening, so it's like 10 PM, quite late. I've officially reached halfway through of Serpent and the Wings of Night, and so far I'm really enjoying it. I'm having a really fun time. Well, I think I'm enjoying it. I've been like pretty locked in. Like, I looked at my phone and I had like notifications from like an hour ago, and I was like, oh wow, I've been pretty locked in. I don't have like a 5-star feeling or anything like that, but I'm enjoying it. I'm kind of curious to see where the story is going to go. So this is about, I can't remember our main character's name because I feel like the name just isn't said like an awful lot in the book. I'm gonna actually look at the blurb because I like to go into books blind. I never look at blurbs until I'm kind of like filming one of these sections and I'm like, what can I say? So this is about Aurea, who is the adopted human daughter of the Nightborn Vampire King. So she is currently entered into a competition called the Kedgery. In my head I keep calling it Kedgery, like the food, and I know that's not right, but the Kedgery I think, which is basically like a trials based contest. So it's like you have a trial for each phase of the moon, which is pretty cool. One thing I'm not enjoying is like there doesn't seem to be too much time focused on the actual trials. Like the trials are done in a chapter, which if you know me, hi, my name's Charlotte. If you don't, I love trials-based fantasy. If you want me to read a book, tell me it's trials-based fantasy and like I will be reading it. So yeah, that is basically vampires. Like she is in this competition with vampires and she has had to form an alliance with a rival. The rival is Rain. He's dangerous. He's a ruthless vampire, an efficient killer, an enemy to her father's crown and her greatest competition. Yet what terrifies Aurea most of all is she finds herself oddly drawn to him, which is really interesting. Some of the stuff that happens, loving it. I feel like that kind of summarizes it. Obviously it's the blurb, that's what it's meant to do, but yeah, so far like I'm enjoying it. It doesn't feel anything particularly special, as I said. It doesn't feel like a 5-star. It's not feeling close to, like I am reading it and I am thinking about picking up Air of Fire. I'm enjoying it, but like I'm also like I'm really ready to be back in Throne of Glass right now. So but yeah, so it's saying I have just over 4 hours left. I think it's saying that I'm on page 251. Yeah, I've got just over 4 hours left, so I'd like to read it's 10 p.m. now, so probably another hour and a half, so that I have like 2.5 hours to read tomorrow, so I can finish this and go on to our last book of the video. So yeah, I'm gonna love you and leave you, and I'll probably chat to you tomorrow. Okay, let's catch up. So I finished The Serpent and the Wings of Night this afternoon. Whoa. The plot twists were plot twisting. I was not expecting those at all. I am so, like, I don't know. I feel like recently, like, I've been expecting some of the plot twists that happen. For example, I finished Crown of Midnight recently. I expected what happens at the end of Crown of Midnight to happen. That wasn't a shock to me, it wasn't a surprise. So yeah, I feel like normally I can predict fantasies, however I really was not predicting that to happen at all. I'm really excited for the second book, although the second book is really long. I saw it in Waterstones today, it's like 750 pages, so I'm not sure when I'm going to get around to that. I'm going to be filming a 24-hour readathon this week because I've got a week of annual leave, so I'm going to film a 24-hour readathon this week, and I was like, oh, I'll pick up book 2 in that, and then I was like, oh, it's really long, I'm not picking up book 2 in that. So yeah, I feel like December I'm not going to read that many books. I'm going to be reading so many long books where I'm like, I'm just going to keep saving these. But yeah, so the next book we are going to be going on to, I haven't started yet, but it's been in my bag so I took it with me. Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. I'm a little bit nervous about getting into a classic. I'm not gonna lie, because it's been a while since the last time I read a classic was Little Women at the start of the year. So it's been a hot minute, it's been a little while, so I'm a little bit nervous. I nearly decided to go for a different book instead of this, but I want something that I'm going to be able to finish like relatively fast, and this is like the smallest one. The other two are like 500 pages, and I just don't particularly want to do a 500 page book right now. Like I was starting to find Seven on the Wings of Night like a little bit too long. I'm a bit stuck on my rating for that one at the moment actually, but yeah, I'm going to sit down and read this evening. I'm hoping that I'll get a good amount of the way through. I think it's like 270 pages or something. No, not even. Yeah, 230 pages, so should be a fairly quick read. Hopefully finish it like tomorrow evening at least, because I'm out in the day. But yeah. It is Monday. Last night I started Northanger Abbey. Yeah, I got a chapter in, and I think this is going to be a soft DNF because I didn't read before work. I've not worked today. I was meeting a friend today. I woke up early enough where I could have read, and instead I scrolled TikTok. It's 8:30. I have been sat in my room for like the last hour scrolling TikTok. I haven't thought about picking this book up. I don't really want to pick this book up. So I think I'm going to DNF it, do a soft DNF. I'm just not in the mood to read it, and I don't want to force myself to read a book that I don't want to read. Like that feels, I don't know, I just don't want to do that. I don't see the point, because chances are I'm not going to read it. I'm going to get in a reading slump. This is the first day in a long time that like I've made it this far through the day without reading anything at all. And like, it's not that I don't want to read, it's that I don't want to read this. So yeah, I also feel the same about the other two books on my TBR, to be honest. Or Is It Here and Those Who Are Loved. all I want to read at the moment is fantasy. Like, that is truly what I'm in the mood for. So I think I'm going to start a fire, which means I'm going to finish this video here. So yeah, we didn't really read much of my TBR. We obviously read a couple of books. So we read, I need to do all of my ratings. Okay, so the two books we read were on my Kindle. Barely even a TBR video at that point. Anyway, it is what it is. We read Lost and Lassoed. Really enjoyed Lost and Lassoed. I was talking to my friend about it today, because she's bookish, my bookish friend, shout out Millie, and I was like, I'm in a fantasy mood at the moment, that's all I want to read, but I also had no issue with reading Lost and Lassoed. Like, I actually really enjoyed my time reading it. But I think, and I was thinking about this morning actually when I was thinking about not wanting to read this book, I feel like right now I either want to read fantasy or I want to read like series with characters that I know and love. Like, I feel like I could read Keeping 13 at the moment, or I could reread Magnolia Parks. Like, I feel like right now I just want either a series that I know and love, like, which is ridiculous because there's like no new books in any of the series they're like coming out anytime soon now that we've surpassed Lost and Lassoed, or I feel like I want to reach for a fantasy, which is a sticky situation to be in. So yeah, they're like the two moods that I'm in at the moment, and I'm just gonna accept that. And I've obviously did lean into that a little bit more when I made my December TBR, that I know that video went up. But yeah, this was obviously going to be, I literally started talking about book and then I started wrapping up again. Oh, sorry guys, my brain is not with it. So yeah, we read Swift and Saddled, which I loved. I loved the way that the romance came together in that book. I loved our two main characters. I loved being back in Meadowlark. It was definitely my favourite out of the series, like 100%. And then rating wise, I did give it a 4.5, which for me is a pretty high rating for a romance book, and also like a book in that series. Like, I absolutely love this book. It did everything I wanted it to do and more, I feel like. I absolutely adored it. I need the physical copy because that's how much I enjoyed it. I need it in my possession. Yeah, it was a really good time. It was the perfect continuation of the series. It felt like the way these characters come together felt perfect, because it could have ended up feeling like the characters are quite similar to Cade and Willa from Heartless in the Chestnut Spring series. However, the way they come together and the way they connect felt so different to that I just absolutely adored it. It was so perfect to me. There was moments where I was crying, and I really think that's because I've become so like attached to all of the characters, even characters that had previously been side characters in the other books, that like it just worked so perfectly. So yeah, that was a 4.5. And then, oh, I haven't actually rated The Serpent and the Wings of Night yet. I think The Serpent and the Wings of Night is going to be, I think, a 4-star. It didn't quite do everything I wanted it to do, but it was a good time. I liked the characters. I liked the world and the concept. I just didn't like the execution as much. So it was a trial-based fantasy, and I think I said this maybe in my recaps, I can't remember, but I don't feel like enough time was spent on the trials. Like, we maybe had like one chapter on a trial, and like things were just skimmed over really quickly, which I don't want in a trial-based fantasy. Like, if I'm reading trials, I want to go in depth because I love trials. Trials are my favourite things ever. Like, it's my favourite part. Like, trials is my favourite trope. I guess trials is a trope. It's my favourite kind of fantasy to read. I want to read trials. Let me read all of the trials. Let me read them in detail. So I feel like when you're not giving me that, I just don't care as much. Like, I don't know, I feel like I'm reading for the plot at the moment. Like, that's what I really care about when I'm reading. So I feel like when I'm not being given that, it makes me a bit moody. Or like, it just, yeah, it didn't give me exactly what I wanted, but I feel like I enjoyed it enough that anything below a 4 stars feels wrong. I definitely want to carry the series on. The second book is thick. Thick. I looked at it in Waterstones today, and yeah, she is thick. But yeah, other than that, definitely intrigued to read it. But I think I'm going to wrap this video up here. Obviously, Northanger Abbey, she's not worked this time. I think it's a timing thing. I think I'm just not in the mood. The words are kind of going in and just not staying in, and I just have no interest in reading it. So rather than putting myself in a slump, I just don't see the point anymore. Every time I've gone in a slump this year, it's because I've forced myself to read a book that I'm not enjoying. So I'm just kind of over that now, basically. But that wraps this video up nicely. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please give this video a thumbs up and comment down below. Otherwise, I will catch you in the next one. Bye!